I don't really have a typical day or a typical week, and because of my medical situation, I don't always know how much energy I'm going to have. And so the whole idea of trying to figure out how long any given task is going to take me is just so completely overwhelming that it doesn't even register as a thing that could be done in the real world. Today I'm going to show you my planner system that I use. It is a modification of Sarah Cannon's Heart Breathings method planner, and I'll put a link to that in the description. So this is my planner. I am using a cover from Happy Planner, and the discs are from Happy Planner. It's a disc-bound binder, which I like because you can pull the pages out and put them back in really easily, which helps me keep things happening. So the way I do it really is a modification of how Sarah Cannon has her planner set up, but the guts of her planner are mostly here, just kind of rearranged. So this is the front of the planner. I made my own cover page because I want this to be the yearly section, and her planner is a quarterly planner. So it starts out with a quarter one page, which we'll see later. I like this quote: "Forget past mistakes, forget failures, forget everything except what you're going to do and do it," from William Durant. And I think that this is from quarter two of 2022 that this particular quote came from. And these pages are from the HB90 planner. It's a year at a glance calendar, and as you can see, I have some dates marked in already for this year. But I did move these pages forward in the planner from where she has them. So you'll notice that I have done that with a lot of pages, just swap the order around kind of a lot. It is a printable planner, which makes it easy to print one thing on the back of something else than it was intended. So I have my year at a glance in the front. Another quote: "Don't count the days, make the days count," from Muhammad Ali. And then I have made this yearly planning checklist, which just helps me remember all of the things that I want to make sure that I address when I'm doing my yearly planning. So in Sarah's goal planning system, she has you pick 3 goals that you're going to work on throughout the quarter. And she has a really cool system for going through and figuring out how much time you're going to have based on what your typical day or week is like. And then you figure out which tasks you want to complete to work towards each goal. And you figure out down to half-hour time blocks how many time blocks you're going to need to work toward those goals, and she's got a really cool system for working all this out. Unfortunately, right now in my life, I don't really have a typical day or a typical week, and because of my medical situation, I don't always know how much energy I'm going to have from one day to another. And so the whole idea of trying to figure out the number of half-hour time blocks that I have on any given day or week, or how long any given task is going to take me, is just so completely overwhelming that it doesn't even register as a thing that could be done in the real world in my head. So I'm taking a different track on this. I've picked 3 life domains that I am going to focus on, and I am going to just set what are the next steps that need to happen in each of these life domains, and I will work on them at the speed that I am able to given my parameters. I have divided my planner into 3 sections. They're color-coded. Yellow for personal, home, and family, and then blue is for my writing and storytelling goals. Pink is for business and career development goals and plans. And I have used her HB90 goal setting pages in each of these, although I have left out the letter at the beginning of the planner and some of the instructions and things, because I've used this before and I don't feel like I need to print those instructions for every section every time. So this page with the title on it is one that I created for each section, but I will show you the planner pages that I have chosen to use out of the HB90 planner to help this happen. So I did put her vision board pages in here. I haven't done anything with them yet. I kind of ran out of time, so I kind of skipped the vision board parts. I have a vision in my head. I just didn't get it down on the paper this time. So vision board. I did put a little bit of instructions in here about decluttering your brain, and this is a great brain dump section she has. She has it categorized. You can categorize it however you want, but she has it categorized according to what I need to do. And I have put some sticky notes in here to kind of block out my personal plans here, because it's personal. So what I need to do, what I should do, what I want to do. And so you can kind of dump out all of the ideas that you have in your brain. And I have limited this to the home and family front for this set of yellow pages. The color coding kind of runs through my system. Then you prioritize the items on your brain dump list so that, because you can't do everything, so she helps you prioritize them with this little, I think it's called an Eisenhower grid, to help figure out which tasks are better to focus on during this period that you're looking at. And right now, these are my yearly pages. Then we have a section of recurring tasks, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. And I'm not putting everything that I do in a day or a week or a month. These are just things that I'm going to be focused on building systems around or building habits around, because with the cancer, a lot of my systems kind of have collapsed and need to be re-established. And I can only do that little by little by little. So these are things that I am working toward. And then you can, from the lists that you have, you can brainstorm potential goals for the upcoming time period. So I have listed down here some of potential yearly goals. And then there's a notes page here. You can't see it very well in the video, I don't think, but it's got a dot grid. Maybe if I do this. There we go. I think that shows. Dot grid note page, and that is also from her planner, but again, I have kind of treated her beautiful planner as a buffet and just picked and chosen my own little stash of things in a different order. More notes pages, and then these are my quarter one goals, and it has a goal 1, goal 2, goal 3 section over here, and I have just obliterated it all with Post-it notes so that you don't see what my goals are. And over here, future goals. If there are goals that I want to complete, but they don't fit into quarter 1, I can put ideas down for what I want to do in quarter 2, 3, 4, and then quarter 1 of next year, so that I can have kind of a vision of where all of this is going in a big picture. So then my blue section for writing and storytelling is the same setup, so I'm not going to go through that one. And then the pink section for business and career development, again, is set up more or less the same way, although in this one I do have a marketing plan that I added in. So now we get to her title page for quarter 1, 2023. She does have undated planners that you can just reprint each time the same and then write in your own dates, but I like to support her because she has really helped me get my life organized. It comes in a letter size and an A5 size. I use the letter size one, but I size it down to fit the classic size Happy Planner covers. Then I have a quarterly planning checklist, which again I added in here, and it's just to help me make sure that I get all of the things that I have set goals around. This quarter I have added this anatomy of a tree from arborday.org. It's got the outer protective bark, and then it's got like inner bark and a cambium layer that has the growth of the tree. And then you have sapwood, which is moving things up and down the tree, and you have heartwood, which is like the core structural part of the tree that helps hold everything upright. And I was thinking how we have different areas of our life that kind of perform similar functions. We have our heartwood that we have to make sure stays strong so that things don't collapse. And we have the areas of our life that are moving things up and down, kind of like the sapwood. We have the cambium cell layer, which is where the growth takes place. And really that is such a little thin layer in the tree. And often it's just a small number of tasks and goals and things that we have where we're making real growth and forward movement. But that is how the tree builds. So I was thinking maybe as I'm setting goals, I want to kind of identify to myself, in a heartwood goal, maybe I would mostly keep things solid, whereas in a sapwood or a cambium layer, it's going to be more dynamic and there's going to be more motion on it. You can tell my dad was a botanist. But I think about these things. I've given myself a notes page that I may come back and kind of journal in, but I also might not. Sometimes I give myself a place to write things down so that I remember to think about it, but I don't actually write it down. And I think that's okay. I love this page, Crushing My Goals One Sticky Note at a Time. I also have a Kanban board in addition to my planner that helps me track the projects that are active in my life at any given time in each area. And if you're interested, drop a note in the comments and I can make a video about the Kanban board. Then I've got this quarterly calendar in here, January, February, March. It helps me figure out for the next 13 weeks what my focus is going to be for each week. And actually the 13th week for me is always a planning week, so I plan in 12-week chunks instead of 13-week chunks. Then I've got, again, a little section of pages for each of my areas of focus. And these are the quarterly focus. So breaking it down to what needs to get done in a quarter in order to progress towards the goals that I have set for the year. And I actually didn't fill out very many of the pages that I printed for the business and career development one. So we're going to look at that section to see what all of the sections are like. They're all the same. So again, my cover page, but then Sarah's pages from here. So this is goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3. And these are goals that I brought forward from the yearly section. I didn't in this one because they're mostly marketing plan related goals. And I have my own pages for that, but the other 2 sections, these are filled out. And so then you break your goal down into projects. You can brainstorm which projects you're going to work on. And then you break your project down into tasks. And then it's not quite so overwhelming and huge. You just go down your task list and that accomplishes the project. And you go down your project list and that accomplishes the goals. And you go down your goal list and that moves you forward in your progress towards the life you want to have. So I've got several more project planners in here. And then I get to my editorial overview for 2023, which is what my marketing plan is built around. And then the rest of this is marketing plan. And I don't want to get into the specifics there because A, spoilers, and B, I really hope that I can follow through on this plan, but my life doesn't always work that way. So I don't want to disappoint anybody by telling them exactly what's coming and then drop the ball like I did this last year. Okay, so that gets us through the quarterly section. So I make yearly goals, I make quarterly goals, and then I break those down into monthly, weekly, and daily. And one of the things that I love about the HB planner is that she has pages for quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily, because that is the way that I need to break things down to stay on top of it. And not everybody does. And I don't know if it's my ADHD brain or the stroke brain or the chemo brain, but some combination of all of this. It just really helps if I have all of those different levels, and most planners don't. You'll get a daily planner, or you'll get a weekly planner with just the weekly spread, or you'll get a calendar that just has the month. I need all of them. I do use a Google Calendar for my monthly most of the time so that I can coordinate it with my family members. But I do also use the planner to just lay out my book-related things. And I did make myself a little monthly planning checklist and that I go down when I do my monthly planning. And then in the regular planner, the way it comes, the back of this monthly page would be the first weekly page. But I have gone ahead and put one of her notes pages on the back of it, and then I've inserted some other things that I like to have on hand to use or to reference as I'm going through the month. So I have a moon phases calendar just because I kind of like to see how the rhythms of nature flow. And the moon is one of the ones that we can track fairly easily. I have a list of fun holidays for the month, and you'll see some social media posts coming through about that. And then I have the marketing plan just for the month, I'm looking at February because more of it's blank, but the marketing plan is filled out. And you can see that we're featuring Dancing with the Viper for January and February. So we're going to have some promotions in some discount book newsletters. We're going to have some topical YouTube videos and social media coming out during January and February that are related to Dancing with the Viper. And this is all related to that. Then I have a monthly income and expense form. This is for business income and expenses to help me keep track of those things. I like to have everything all in one planner because the more fragmented my planner is, the more fragmented my brain is, and the more fragmented my life is. So if I just have it all in one place, that works best for me. Some people like to have a different business planner, a personal planner, and a health planner, and maybe a faith planner, or things like this. But I just need it all in one place. So another quote page, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. This one's from Oprah Winfrey. And then we get into the weekly pages. Now, the first one is a tasks list. She has goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, and I just use these as my domain 1, 2, and 3 instead of goal 1, 2, and 3. So this will always be the home and family one, and this will always be the writing one, and this will always be the business one. And I go back to my task lists in my quarterly plan and figure out what tasks need to be done in those. I also, the notes page, that's what I forgot to say. The notes page on the back of the monthly pages, I'm using to write down things that pop up as we go along that don't necessarily have to get done right now, but that I need to work into my plans at some point. So I'll check that list. I'll check my goal task lists, and I'll put in here what I think is going to fit into this week. There's an important notes section over here. I just use this one for my family budget. I'll divide it into columns and just track the things that are my responsibility to track for the budgeting. This is her section for her half-hour task blocks, which I hope someday to get into using. But as we're going along, I use it for various things. Sometimes I will track how much time I've spent on each goal or domain or things like that. Right now I'm not doing a lot of tracking, but I still like having it here to remind me that someday I will grow into this. And then we have this weekly spread. On this page, you already have your tasks written down that you would really like to accomplish for this week. And this gives you a place to kind of schedule out which day you're going to do them on, which is really good for me because if I don't give it a home on a day, it's a lot less likely to get done. But on this particular spread, I like to include some other things, like I put the moon phase at the bottoms of each day. At the top of the column, I stamp the weather, so I have the weather at the top, the moon phase at the bottom, and then tasks and appointments in between. I put my appointments right underneath the weather, and then I put my tasks that I think will fit around the appointments that I have on that day. This section over here, WIP, stands for work in progress. This particular planner was developed specifically for writers, so you can put your goals for your work in progress for the week up here. I use this notes section to put my dinner menus, and I just do menus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I figure out what to make on any given day on that day, because if I plan it out for a specific day, it never happens that way anyway. But I do try to plan, like this week is a really busy week, maybe I need to have 4 easy dinners and 3 that can be a little more involved, or 2 that are a little more involved and 1 that's takeout, because let's be real, some nights you just have to have takeout. This is a habit tracker I'm not using right now because I don't tend to flip back to this weekly page when I'm marking habits. So I'll show you where I mark habits, which is on the daily pages, which are next. These are daily pages. It's 1 page per day. And one thing I love about this is that these blocks are not labeled, except for this block is hourly time box from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I use that to mark any time-specific appointments that I have for that day. Over here, the top 3 lines, I put my top goals for the day. I will often try to put at least one goal for each domain in my life, but some days just really have to be more heavily one domain or another. In fact, I've actually started selecting on my weekly spread. I will pick Tuesday is a blue day, Wednesday is a pink day, that kind of thing. And I will focus on goals from that area on those days most of the time. This is a new thing that I'm trying out, and so far it's been working out pretty well. What I normally do in this box is the rest of my to-do list. Some days it's long, and if there are a lot of appointments, this list tends to be shorter, but that way it helps me balance it out because I can see my appointments and my time commitments, and I can see how much of a to-do list I'm going to be able to actually accomplish that day. This box down here is where I mark my habits. I often will just take a dot pen and make a big dot for each habit with a label, and then I'll exit off as I do it throughout the day. And then this section I just use for notes. Often I'll put which dinner I selected from the weekly page, or I might put a quote in here, or a phone number that somebody gave me, whatever. That's my notes section. Some of you might be wondering, why do you need both the weekly page spread and the daily pages? Because if you put all of your things on here, wouldn't you be able to just work from these pages? And the answer to that might be you might be able to work from these pages, but my life shifts enough from day to day that when I plan it out on Monday or like Saturday night the week before, by the time I get to Thursday, nothing seems to have gone the way that I intended for it to go, and it's really messy and sloppy and confusing if I have to cross things out and write new things in on this page. So I do that as I need to, but it's a lot easier if I can just say, well, now that it's Thursday, I didn't get this and this done, so I'm going to move those onto Thursday, but I can just move them onto the Thursday page, if that makes sense. So having both the weekly and the daily pages really helps me with being able to be flexible and kind of roll with the punches that life hands me, which seem to be numerous and adventuresome sometimes. One other quick thing that's fun about this quarter is I'm using this colored paper. This is kind of it's called craft paper, but it's a little more gray than most craft paper. It is a very warm gray, though. I wanted to use a cool gray because it's winter where I live, and I thought cool gray paper would be fun for a winter quarter planner, but I couldn't find any that was heavier than a 20-pound paper, and I like to have at least a 24-pound, if not a 28, because I like to use juicy pens and markers sometimes that the bleed through can be problematic. Anyway, I'm having fun with this paper because you can write on it in both black and white. I can write my top goals in white so they kind of glow against the page and remind me that they're more important. I often will use these dot pens to make like little to-do bullets, and then I can use the white to mark across it, and it helps highlight which ones are done and which ones still need to be done. Up here, these lines are friction highlighters, and I will use those to mark which tasks match up with which domain in my life so that I can track and make sure that I'm getting a good balance. And each day I like to use washi tape along the bottom. Sometimes I'll put washi tape along between the sections. I like quote stickers and picture stickers. I recently acquired a set of dragon stickers that I've been having fun with. It's a whole bunch of dragons, which is helping me stay motivated on the dragon writing project. The tape and the stickers and different colored pens and things help me stay motivated to use it, because if the pages are the same every day, all month, I tend to get bored with them, and then I don't come back into my planner. So I know that if I decorate it, if I get to play with a little creativity while I'm doing my planning, then I'm more likely to use my planner, which means I'm more likely to do the things that I need to do to keep my life on track. If it would be helpful to see me actually use the pages, I would be happy to do a plan with me video, or if you're interested in my Kanban board, I would be happy to show you how that works for tracking my projects. I'm planning to try to get more videos out this year than I did last year. I'm hoping that life will let me do that. Make sure that you subscribe and click on the little bell icon so that it will notify you when the new videos go live, and I will see you then.